Mr. John Pender, a Scottish cotton merchant based in Manchester, had become interested in the possibilities of submarine telegraphy. He was a director of the Atlantic Telegraph Company, which had made the first attempts to lay a successful transatlantic cable in 1857, and again in 1858, and again in 1865. With the successful laying of the 1866 transatlantic cable came the confidence to risk a submarine cable venture to India. Overland lines had already been established, but these were slow and unreliable. A submarine cable, it was rightly thought, would improve communications between Great Britain and India. In 1868, the Anglo-Mediterranean Telegraph Company came into being and laid a submarine cable from Malta to Alexandria in Egypt. This opened the way for a viable cable to India, and so John Pender formed the British Indian Submarine Telegraph Company. The aim was to link Suez and Bombay, now Mumbai, by cable, and link Alexandria with Suez by a landline. With the Alexandria-Malta cable already in place, it would leave only the Malta-Great Britain sections to be laid. To this end, Pender formed the FALMOUTH, Gibraltar and Malta Telegraph Company. The cables themselves would be made by the Telegraph Construction and Maintenance Company, known as TELCON, and formed by Pender himself by amalgamating the GUTTA PERCHA Company with GLASS ELLIOT. On Saturday, the 6th of October 1869, the Great Eastern and the Chiltern left Portland carrying 2,600 miles of cable between them. Their destination was Bombay, and their task? To lay the Bombay to Suez section. The Chiltern arrived in Bombay on Wednesday, the 26th of January, 1870. 2 days later, she was joined by the Great Eastern. By the end of Monday, the 7th of February, the Chiltern had laid and buoyed the shore end. A week later, the Great Eastern spliced on and began paying out towards Aden. They made landfall on Saturday, the 26th of February, but could not make the final splice due to bad weather. It wasn't until Wednesday, the 2nd of March, that this was remedied. The next day, the anchor line ship Hibernia arrived at Aden. Now this next section, the Aden to Suez section, could begin. On Sunday, the 6th of March, the Great Eastern spliced on and started paying out towards Suez. 3 days later, the Great Eastern ran out of cable, so Hibernia took over the cable laying. 4 days later, the Hibernia also ran out of cable, so the Chiltern had to step in. On Tuesday the 15th, the Chiltern completed its section of the cable laying, and the next day, the cable flotilla was joined by the William Corey and the Hawk, which had already laid the Suez shore end. A week later, the final splice was made, and Bombay and Suez were linked by 3,300 miles of submarine cable. The challenge was now to link Malta to Porthcurno. This began on Saturday the 14th of May with 2 ships, the Scandaria and the Edinburgh, laying cable from Malta to Gibraltar. Once this was completed, the Scandaria continued on, laying the section from Gibraltar to Carcavelos. The Hibernia continued the cable laying, and by early June it was off the Cornish coast. The smaller cable ship Investigator had already laid the Porthcurno shore end, and so at latitude 50 degrees 1.5 minutes north, longitude 5 degrees 36.4 minutes west, on Wednesday the 8th of June 1870, the Hibernia made the final splice of the submarine cable to India. On Thursday the 23rd of June, John Pender held a soirée at his London home, 18 Arlington Street, a Gothic-inspired mansion known as Pomfret Castle. Sadly, this richly decorated mansion was demolished in 1934, and a block of flats built in its place. There's no accounting for taste. What can we say? This soirée was attended by no less a person than His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, later to be King Edward VII. They sent the first message to Bombay at 9:18 in the evening, using Sir William Thompson's siphon recorder. It was from the managing director, Mr. Anderson, in London, to his counterpart, Mr. Stacey, in India. How are you? It took 5 minutes to reach Bombay, and for Mr. Stacey to send back the reply, all well. At 9:28, Mr. Anderson sent a second message. Please ask gentlemen of the press, Bombay, to send a message to the gentlemen of the press, New York. Sir Charles Forbes, a businessman, then sent a message to his own company, Sir Charles Forbes and Company, in case anyone was getting confused, in Bombay. We congratulate you all on the opening of submarine communication, equally important to the imperial as well as the commercial interest. This was sent at 11:03 and acknowledged at 11:10. The reply from his Bombay office was received 12 minutes later. Now the Prince of Wales sent the Viceroy of India his best wishes. I congratulate Your Excellency on England and India being now connected by a submarine cable. I feel assured this grand achievement will prove of immense benefit to the welfare of the Empire. Its success is thus matter of imperial interest. The Viceroy was actually in bed at the time, but he managed the following reply. Your Highness's message just received. All interested in the welfare of England and India must feel thankful for the great advantage which the completion of this great enterprise has conferred on the Empire. The messages now flowed thick and fast. The Prince of Wales offered His Majesty the King of Portugal his congratulations. I offer you my congratulations on the completion of direct telegraphic communication between England and the East by way of Portugal. I thank you for the aid Your Majesty's government has rendered to this great enterprise, and trust that bringing our two countries nearer together in point of time, we may cement more closely the old bonds which unite England and Portugal. Another message from His Prince of Wales went to His Highness the Khedive. Allow me to congratulate Your Highness on the completion of a telegraphic route from England to Egypt. By your assistance, you have not only promoted commercial relations between Great Britain and Egypt, but you have carried out the traditional policy of Your Highness's rule by facilitating communication of England with the Eastern Empire. And the Khedive replied in French. So here's a little translation. I thank Your Royal Highness for the congratulations that he designed to address to me on the occasion of the success of the new telegraphic line opened between England, Egypt and the eastern possessions of His Majesty, the commercial relations of which is developing more and more by the creation of new ways of communication which are due to the genius of the English people. In my desire to advance my country, I consider it a duty to increase the relations which unite us and give us new proof of my strong sympathy to work for such usefulness that is universal. The night, meanwhile, was a technological triumph for John Pender and his cable to India, and the very next day it opened for public service.